with a broken leg, gets back on the bike and drives home. Okay. Chip Ross recently had another accident. It was a motorbike again, wasn't it? Okay. And he and his beloved ended up in hospital for months and months and months. I think she's still in hospital doing.
Yeah, she's home.
She's home now, but
5 months
therapy.
in the hospital.
Yeah, 5 months in the hospital. That's what I call a deepening of relationship, because it's sort of like not pretty flowers and moons and Junes. It is, how are you going to live in this world if the world breaks you constantly? Okay, so the question is not what happens to us, is how we respond to it, which is a scientific definition of a living organism, one that responds to its environment. And that's actually what's happening tonight. We are responding to each other's stimuli in order that we can take ourselves further in creative expansion rather than contraction and repeat the past like a jukebox. We're not karaoke poets. We are poets of creation, and the fact that Chip is here tonight, despite the fact that he was so long in hospital and his beloved was in hospital, when we visited, they were both there, and he was caring for her, and he himself was in desperate straits. The funny part is, Chip had a business, it was, and he got me to play a clown on the television, like dressed up, like, because I like playing clowns. My hero is that guy from Woodstock, 400,000 people in bed, breakfast in bed for, what's his name? Come on.
Yeah,
You know the one.
yeah, the something.
Wavy Gravy.
Wavy Gravy, yeah. We used to do a thing called 10,000 Musicians for Peace. Okay, Wavy Gravy was our guest. And he did his famous anthem, which goes, everyone, give me an F.
Yeah.
Give me a U.
You.
Give me an N. So
What does it spell?
he got sick of being beaten up at peace demonstrations.
What?
He was a poet, right? And Wavy Gravy was a fine poet in New York. And he was at the Gaslight Cafe, which is a famous beat cafe. And they said, this is a poet's cafe. Let's not have musicians. And there's this guy called Robert Zimmerman who always wants to play here. And he said, look, give him a chance. He's a poet, actually. He just uses a guitar. So the poets were first, like the poets were first before the Quran came in. People trusted poets then because the poets wouldn't lie to them, unlike today. But I digress. The point is that Chip's consistent loyalty to creation and creating a community of people who are listening to each other is prodigious. And I just want to praise him while he's here, because I haven't seen you for months since I'm in hospital, man.
Thank you, Sam.
Well, very, very grateful that you're here. Thank you. And I want to thank every person here who dedicated time to being with people who value your presence. I value your presence and your continuing creativity. Show it.
I have an interesting story to tell that won't take any seconds. I actually went to a supply store for what do you call it? Teachers' aids and whatnot. So it's like a teacher supply store. And Tom was talking about John Barry, and I happened to find this key holder, and at the end of it was a tag that said John Barry.
Wow.
This is John Barry's neck key holder
Whoa.
that he used to hold his keys on. He found this in the store house.
What, he dropped it on the floor?
Donated it, man. This is part of his legacy.
Yeah.
Just happens to want to haunt y'all's asses right now. So here it is.
Yeah.
The spirit of John is with us.
Oh yeah.
That's what's up.
That was right. Okay, who's up? That up there.
Well, it was appropriate with you saying we need to appreciate people who are here. Therefore,
Got your shoes on.
this is to the barefoot poet over
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Woohoo!
My feeble attempt at a rant poem. Embassy Suites by Hilton. When one strolls into the lavish lobby, adorned with accoutrements of wealth and privilege, one immediately realizes the emphasis must be placed on the word suites. A spacious, affluent suite, not a room. A suite must await each worthy traveler. As I approached the counter to announce my reservation protocol, I began to suspect that although the operative word must be sweet, perhaps this word was actually a homophone. I began to realize that having an embassy suite was not a luxurious location of respite, but actually a den for badass kids whose parents were taking their sweet time correcting poor behaviors, if at all. This marauding colony of young badgers disrupted my mental feng shui almost immediately. Parents were taking their sweet time using words like stop or no, or even a phrase like don't you dare run around the legs of that San Antonio poet. Parents took their sweet time before saying things like stop running up and down the hall, stop putting your feet in that atrium fountain and tracking water through the lobby and into the elevators. One parent took the ultimate sweet time by never saying anything to her badass boys. Mommy, 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 mommy. Mommy, 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 mommy. Just because you can tune him out doesn't mean the rest of society can. Stop taking your sweet time to tell your badass kids to stop. Stop running behind the employee's counter. Stop clipping your toenails in the pool area. Stop coughing on everyone and using the plush chair armrest to wipe your hands on. Stop tugging on the poor waiter's arm as he walks by with a tray full of food. And stop telling your sister that she is fat and thus making her cry. Parents, stop taking your sweet time to discipline your badass kids. My sweet Lord. We have smoke-free hotels. Where are the badass kid-free hotels? I can't find them on Expedia.com, but if I could, that would be sweet.
Yeah. Now barefoot poet, yay.
All right, thanks, Darrell. Yeah, I'm the barefoot poet, but I'm actually a barefooter. I don't wear shoes at all.
Yeah.
And that's where this one comes from, a barefooter stance. Don't judge me for this thing I do, or rather that thing I don't do, because I'm not hurting anybody except maybe myself when I meet a renegade pebble. And I'm sure if I took the time to look at you, I could find something to judge you for, but I won't. Don't give me that look that says I'm strange or dirty or just not fitting in, because I'm not trying to fit in, especially if fitting in means being judgmental like you. Don't make snide comments or ask me about it unless you really want to know why it is I do this thing, or rather don't do that thing, because I don't feel I have to explain myself to you unless you're willing to explain yourself to me. Don't think you're any better than me because you don't do this thing, or because you do that thing that you think I should be doing, even though doing that thing just to make you happy won't make me happy. But hey, as long as you're happy, who cares, right? Don't look down at me for being different, because I'm really not all that different just because I choose to do this thing, or rather choose not to do that thing. I'm the same me I would be either way. Don't look at me if the sight of me bothers you that much, because don't you think there are more important things we could both be concerned with in this world than my bare feet or the fact that I don't wear shoes?
Yeah, Gotta be quick.
Yeah.
Hey, you got the slack. All that Las Vegas. All that hard work getting up there too, boy.
We're going back to 2011 now, and this is the I wrote this the morning after I had arrived in Austin. I'd flown from Lee in This Is Lily Taft, a very good friend of mine and Tom's. Where is she now, Tom? In Montana?
Probably. Yes, that's where she is. She came down to Austin because her house had been taken over.
Yeah.
And then she was sleeping in her car with the dogs, and she couldn't find space here, so she went back to Montana.
Yeah. Right. I'd flown far and went for my car. The woman said, "It's small." Lisa, "Well, it's not that tall." She tried to get me to use something flash, so earning the company some extra cash. But I said, "Like as not, I'll stick with what I've got." Saw the car, and to my surprise, it was like an English family size. So I won't travel in a hurry. But there's one thing that may cause worry. That's when the front seat I sit upon, we're thinking, where the hell's the steering wheel gone? Thank you.
I was listening to what Tom was saying about how certain people has touched him and he's touched them. Well, 2 weeks ago, I was in San Francisco at City Lights.
Burlingame, baby.
I know you gonna know him.
Yeah.
And that Sunday, he turned 100 years old.
Yeah.
And he actually read. And we went, it was like 5 big event venues.
Yeah.
We went to 3 of them.
Great.
And most of the poets that was in there reading,
Yeah.
they were 70 on up.
That's right.
And they had one guy, I mean, he kind of surprised me. If you seen him, he was on the walker. He had all this jewelry on.
Yeah.
He said, "I used to run that place right there." Got a chance to meet him because that picture I showed you with Tongo,
Yeah.
he's a poet. He's a movement. And he reads poets. He goes to Rikers. And he also goes to San Quentin.
Yeah.
Actually got a chance to meet the guy. And the guy shook my hand. He said, "Hey," he said, "you're gonna be all right." And it's funny because even though we're here in Austin, and they're out there in San Francisco. Every time I mention Austin, people would turn around and actually ask me, "Is Austin as like they say it is with all the poetry?" I'm like, "Yeah," I said, it has its shares of up and down. They have it too. But it was like over 300 people that were there.
Wow.
Most of them was poets.
Yeah.
And if they wasn't poet, they love poetry.
Hey, that's good.
And I mean, I met so many different people, and like I said, it was a good time. I met professors from Berkeley. And one of them, he's a poet, Ismail. Can't think of his last name. But, he read. So I mean, I heard a lot of poets. But I just wanted to say that, you know. Because like I said, I know Tom. He's gonna tomorrow. My ear gonna be swollen out here. We gonna be talking so much. But I like it because he has inspired me a whole lot, and I think my poetry has gotten a whole lot better because of him. And I always tell him that, you know. And this poem here, I know several of y'all done heard it, but several of y'all haven't. So I'm gonna read it.
I know I have. I'm ready.
Okay, and it's called Walking with My Shadow. Yesterday was nothing different. I went walking under the trees, and my shadow went walking with me. We walked away from reality. If you saw me walking under the pines, today my shadow swayed with an unseen breeze. As my shadow blends in, it gives me all the company I need, feeling like a shadow myself, while walking along a path that silence haunts. The seductive shadow of mine never leaves my side, the dark, mysterious shadow that talks to me with a silent voice. My shadow moved along the road under the towering branches of the trees. I went walking under the trees, and my shadow went walking with me as we walked away from reality. Thank you.
So what'd you tell him? Here's what I told Birdman. Birdman, you're a visual poet. You make videos of your poetry. Whenever you make a video, make sure there's water in it. Get down by water sources. That way, if the poetry's boring, they got something to look at. What did Birdman tell me? He said, Tom, I go to Philadelphia, I set up my camera, I do poetry in the park or the streets. This is a place where no one does poetry. And when I start doing poetry where no one does poetry, people get curious and they come up and say, what are you doing? I'm doing poetry. What's that? I'll have a listen. And then he does it. And they come out of nowhere because in their hearts they don't know it, but they're all in love with their own dreaming. They don't know what it is because no one's ever taught them that everybody dreams in different colors and different ways. So he does that in places there's no one else doing it. And then what happens is he finds people who resonate to it and they invite him back. So he's beloved in Austin very, very much because he's blessed so many venues that no longer exist. But he's also beloved in Philadelphia, he's beloved in Las Vegas, Los Angeles, San Francisco, everywhere he goes because he does poetry where no one else does poetry. Now maybe this is a desert, maybe this is part of Texas, and maybe poetry is a lost language, but it's not lost as long as there's a Birdman 313 out there where no one else does poetry, and you may be dreaming away your beautiful dream out there. He's speaking your dream, and it's a beautiful thing. And it can happen anywhere. It can happen with anyone. And I've seen him do it, and it's great when he actually contacts what's left of the human race. So I say what Birdman says, if you're going to be a poet, do it while you're alive. Can't do it when you're dead.
Do it while you're alive, buddy.
Okay, it's 3 o'clock.
So what?
I gotta go.
Oh,
I gotta go back to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if you know, we've started doing all these poetry CDs.
Well, that's really good. That's good work.
And they're kind of becoming my poets.
Excellent.
And one of my poets
Yeah.
wants to have a CD of just her work.
Nancy.
No, not. We sent Nancy. Nancy is tech savvy, so we sent her the links, and she was able to download it all.
Nice.
This poet, who will remain nameless, although she was in a wheelchair for a weekend, this poet, who will remain nameless, is unable to download them, so she needs a CD. So I got to go buy a CD and make a deal for her. So this will be my last poem of the night, and I know it's entitled Truffles. So you would think it's about mushrooms, but it's really not. It's about poets and poetry.
Yeah.
Every morning I rise and look for truffles. My beloved Springer and I, her face fixed in eternal rejoicing, set out in search of the sublime. The perfect truffle is like the perfect poem, delight to the senses and the soul. On some days I find my share, many days I come up empty-handed. I watch as others root and dig and bring forth their treasures. Some I wish I could eat, others I can't even stand to smell. I see by their expressions that they feel the same. But I don't dig my truffles for them,
Yeah.
or for the restaurateur, or the chef, or for the market and carpet trough.
Yeah.
I take them home and wash and brush them under the tap.
Yeah.
I slice them very thin, combine them with brie and fry them in oil till they are golden. Then you and I, with blackberry jam, will relish them in the sunroom with a fresh loaf of warm bread and our very best bottle of wine.
Oh, good. Wonderful. Thank you, Steve. Good work. Steve records the poets so you can hear them after if they're not here.
y'all were talking about people that you remember or that you want to remember. And I want to tell you about somebody that everybody forgot. I went to school with a guy named Tom, spelled the other way.
Yeah, T.O.
And he was a great artist and photographer. And 40 years went by. And then I found him again on Facebook. And I said, "Hey, Tom, I'm going to come see you in New Orleans." And he seemed a little nervous, but he said, "Come on over." I get there, and he acts like I had abandoned him. But he was just somebody who I got along with greatly, and we had a great time, and then I moved away. I didn't know I was supposed to stay in touch. But I was glad that I found him again. And he and his wife were very sweet to me. And after I got to know them a little bit again, he felt comfortable showing me the back room. The back room was filled with piles and piles of pieces of paper that were unfolded boxes of oatmeal and cereal, on the back of which he painted and drew paintings. And there were 13 stacks, about 3 feet high. So for 40 years, he has been making paintings on the back of oatmeal boxes, and nobody talks to him, and he doesn't talk to anybody. And all of a sudden, I see thousands of paintings. Beautiful, incredible, detailed, gorgeous paintings. And every one that I lifted up, I had something to say about it because it pulled out of me some exciting response. Because every one of them was like a miracle. And after hours and hours of looking through all of these paintings, I said, somebody would like to have some of these paintings. And if you die, somebody's going to come in here with a big old shovel and shovel all these into a dumpster. And he said, I did that to my father's VHS tapes. He said that could really happen. And so I said, I'll give you a camera and you take the pictures of these paintings and start putting them on Facebook at least, and I'll frame a few of them, and I'll come back here in a few months and we'll go take them down to a gallery and see what happens. So I came back in a couple of months, and I had framed one, and we framed a couple together, and he had put a bunch of them on Facebook, but he wouldn't let me take them to the gallery. So I said, now listen, I'm going to come back here in a couple of months again, and this time, you're going to have to wrap your head around showing these to somebody. Stay away from those damn
funny in that last accident. If I would have been in the vehicle, I would have been decapitated. It was only because of being able to slide that motorcycle underneath that tractor trailer that we survived.
It's all true.
Yeah.
Tractor trailer.
Yeah, I tell you, it's interesting. You never realize when you leave your house to go out to eat dinner that you may never come back.
That's right.
You may never come back. And it was 5 months before my wife returned home.
Correct.
Wow.
But Tom and I are linked in the cosmos or something. We have this unusual relationship because out of not understanding how that something could happen, I learned my brother died because of Tom.
I didn't do it.
Brother? Relative venue? No. No, not at, I was just arrived at one of Barbara Carr's venues. This was back in 2008? No, 13 or 8?
It would have been 8. He died a long time ago.
Yeah, I guess 2008, and I got a phone call. It was Tom. Tom said, "Chip, your brother just passed away." I said, "Oh my God!" And he lived over here off Lamar, and it happened to be another poet. I can't think of the gentleman's name, who lived in the same place as my brother did, and who called Tom and told Tom, "Chip's brother has died. He died 2 days ago, unassisted, and he's been laying in the apartment for this long." Anyway, that was a terrible deal. But talking about all of the my brother was a
Prodigious artist.
he was a famous pen and ink artist. His
Yeah.
work hangs in Kremlin and the White House and Governor's Mansion. But he never became a commercial artist. He sold his art by prints on the street for $1, $2. He loved to make people laugh. He was really funny. And he spent years, for instance, over there at the 38th or 34th Street Pharmacy.
Walgreens?
No, it was just outside that pharmacy across from the market, the HEB market, grocery store. But anyway, my brother had hundreds of pen and ink pictures that he was drawing, and he had them all stacked up. My brother was a hoarder too, so it was an incredible ordeal going through his stuff. And Tom saved all of my brother's VHSs. It must have been thousands of them. I don't know how many he ended up carting off, but
Carting off, give the people.
And
no,
books.
No one's got VHS.
yeah, I know. Nobody had VHS, and he had books, and he had so much clothes. Instead of washing his clothes, he would throw away his clothes and go buy another pair of clothes at Goodwill for $1.
Yep.
It was a strange guy. God bless him. I really miss him. But here is a poem. Rain falling on my home, coming from where I do not know. The sound of water hitting the roof keeps me inside and sleepy-eyed. Here, I can feel safe to relax. Let the burdens of life slide down like pajama pants over house shoe toes.
This is an Images poem. I haven't been doing very many of them tonight, but I have hundreds of this sort of thing where it's a single image that I'm just fascinated with, and I just kind of work with it. And this is about a nighthawk. They're a really fascinating bird. If you've ever seen them, they have this wide mouth, and they eat insects, and they fly through the air and eat insects through the air. It's like this. If you ever see them, they're really fascinating. They also, they make these dives where they actually hit a sonic boom. They have a very loud little boom that happens sometimes when they do this dive, and they're just fascinating birds. So this is called Think. I don't know how to imitate the sound that they make. It's a really, so in here I try to describe it. A nighthawk molds a single note, sort of a buzzing of a trill. in the supple silence of approaching night. Sink! It sings and takes to the air to etch slight movements upon a depth of canvas, stroking the blue heavens with its wings. This aerial acrobat then dives, jolting twilight with a faint boom. Briefly, the bird spreads itself upon a breeze to glide, then turns, loops, and flaps an erratic path across the meadow, swallowing insects on the fly. And each acrobatic tactic is punctuated with this joyful note. Sink!
Onomatopoeia.
Back to 2011.
Where are we?
I got the car and gone out to dinner. This is what happened. Tonight, after what seems like an age, Mike Burns and me will be on stage. So I took the road that was leading to where I would be doing my reading. GPS instructions couldn't be better. Followed them to the letter. Then back via the road I came along was when things started to go wrong. My efforts at driving were in vain. I found myself in the wrong lane. Then to my cost, I was well and truly lost. So if anybody would have known, it would have been the guys at Firestone. They had my plight, and put me right. So they thought, but it came to naught. All in vain, I turned up again. They were ever so kind, helped me my way to find. This time their efforts worked. No longer around Austin I learned. So if ever you're lost and all alone, just ask the guys from Firestone.
You trust those guys?
So, yeah, they got me back. So, I don't know what happened the first time, but come back again in a minute. I think they actually were in a hotel or something, but they got me back. And 2012 when I came over, I gave them a copy of the book.
You did?
Yeah, and signed it as well.
Wow. I wrote about car repair people in a book I wrote too, but it was not complimentary.
This was, I just wanted to get back to the hotel.
That's nice. There are good people in the world. 7 of them.
Taking steps early in life, I held onto the hand of trust.